The Tanacu Monastery stood silent and remote, hidden among the dense, dark woods of Romania. The air was thick with the foreboding weight of forgotten legends and whispered tales. Life within the monastery was disciplined, rigid, a stark contrast to the untamed wilderness encompassing it. It was here that Irina Cornici, a young nun with haunted eyes and a frail frame, was brought to seek refuge. Her arrival would mark the beginning of an episode filled with horror and tragic consequences. Mother Tatiana, a severe but devout woman, greeted Irina with kindness that her stern demeanor rarely allowed. Yet, it didn't take long for the sisters to notice Irina's restless nights, the disturbing visions that would send her into fits of screaming, the way her body seemed to writhe as if possessed by unseen forces. The whispers started small, and then grew. Was it madness, or something far more sinister? Father Daniel, the abbot of the monastery, was a man deeply entrenched in the old traditions of faith. He had seen possession before, or so he believed, and was convinced that what gripped Irina was beyond the realm of medical intervention. With a heart hardened by years of isolation and a soul fortified by unwavering belief, he resolved to save the young nun by any means necessary. The decision was made. An exorcism must be performed. As night fell, the chapel, usually a place of quiet reverence, transformed into a battleground between faith and the unknown. The first of 5 harrowing nights began. Father Daniel, flanked by nuns clutching rosaries, began the ritual. Latin chants mingled with desperate prayers, filling the wooden chamber. Irina, her body bound to a crude cross, alternated between screams, pleas, and eerie silence. Her eyes, once windows to her gentle soul, now reflected an abyssal darkness. As the exorcisms continued, Irina grew weaker. Her once vibrant energy sapped away, replaced with a hollow, unending agony. The sisters watched with mounting dread as each night seemed to pull her further from the delicate line between redemption and death. Father Daniel, too, wore the weight of each night's failing efforts like a shroud, his faith tested against the unyielding torment of the nun. On the 5th night, the climax of this grim ordeal reached its apex. The air was as thick as blood. It clung to the skin, suffocating. Irina's screams, now barely more than a whisper, echoed in the minds of all present. And then stillness. Her body lay lifeless, her spirit seemingly torn between salvation and abandonment. The aftermath was a cacophony of shock, guilt, and horror. The monastery doors, once a fortress of faith, now seemed like the gates of despair. News of Irina's death spread beyond the forest, stirring outrage and fear. The authorities intervened, the world now intruding upon this secluded sanctuary. The lines between faith, fanaticism, and responsibility blurred in the ensuing chaos. The Tanacu Monastery, isolated no more, became a symbol of tragic devotion and the terrifying power of belief. Irina Cornici's haunting tale serves as a reminder of the horrors that can seep into even the most sacred of places, and how the shadows of the past can haunt the present when faith turns to fanaticism.